Well, hey there, everyone. Welcome on into VG Emporium, video game music and more. I'm your host, Rage Cage, and today we're going to be listening to some music that is most definitely not VGM, or VGM adjacent for that matter. So then you may be wondering, but Rage Cage, this is called VG Emporium, video game music and more. Ooh, what are you doing? Not playing in VGM? Well, this is a case very much of more. More of what, you may ask? Well, more of what I like. But before I go any further, do you realize that we're only 2 episodes away from episode 100, customer favorites? Kind of crazy, huh? So today is the soft cutoff for getting in your pick for that episode. So yeah, get me your favorite track that's been played on the show since the beginning and get it to me by email, vgemporium@gmail.com, or by any of the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook, or on the Discord. You can follow the link in the show notes. So I'll take some stragglers throughout the week, but by the 16th, that'll be it. So please do get your picks in. Now, as I said, I'm playing original music that is not VGM related whatsoever, and it is of a certain sound, or vibe, probably be the better word. It just invokes this feeling of the 80s and 90s. And most folks would think hey, music that's made now that sounds like 80s music? Synthwave? And no, some of it may be considered synthwave here, but for the most part, no. For example, this opening track. This was the Traveling Theme by SA Music. And yes, it's synth heavy, but it's not synthwave, and what this is an original song done in the style of music from Thomas the Tank Engine, which was a television program geared towards children, aired on the BBC since the mid-80s. And for those that may not know, I can't imagine how they wouldn't know, Thomas the Tank Engine was a show that was all train models. Like, everything was filmed and was just all models, and they switched out the faces for expressions, and it was all, the story was all narrated by Ringo Starr initially, I believe, and then I don't know who else did it afterwards, but, that's as much as I know. But the music is all like this, just these really kind of cool synths, and a lot of train sounds, like the whistle, that steam sound at the very beginning. But for the most part, the music from Thomas the Tank Engine is usually a lot more cheery, a little more on the cheesy side, whereas this has this kind of, melancholy sound. I don't know how to explain it, but I really like it. It's been stuck in my head for a month now. So kudos to SA Music for just creating something just so catchy. And SA stands for Sudrian Afro. And what they've largely done is do recreations of Thomas the Tank Engine music, using sounds that are as close as they can be to the original music. And this is what he's really known for, and he's done some originals such as this one, but more recently he has been trying to get more into doing his own original music, and away from the Thomas the Tank Engine stuff. So what I'm going to do here is actually play one of his original songs that is totally unrelated to his Thomas the Tank Engine recreation works. So what you're about to hear is Moonlight City by SA Music. Oh yeah, that was Moonlight City by SA Music, and actually there's a little information on this one from his SoundCloud on this track. It says, okay, so here's something I've wanted to do for a long time, a proper city pop style track. Although I've thrown small elements in my older pieces, I really wanted to create a lovely sounding one. Originally this is faster and was meant to be a more poppy, but slowing it down gave it a good slow jam vibe. Def had a good listen around to get some ideas for this one, and I'd love to do one like this again. And seeing that this was posted a year ago, or at least on SoundCloud it was, and I got a note here that all the songs that I'm going to be featuring I discovered on SoundCloud, pretty much like all my music I find. And yeah, he has done some kind of city pop-ish stuff, maybe not as, slowed down and vibing as this one, but still really good. And just a lot of really good just synth music in general. And he's actually done some shopping themes, which I may use in the future, that are really kind of kitschy and cheesy and just so delightful. And some like sitcom themes as well, like, kind of spoofing on 80s and 90s sitcom themes. And just all his original music is just really good and delightful. And, in this one, you can hear that same synth that was used in that traveling theme. That's kind of like a carryover from his Thomas the Tank Engine stuff, is using some of those synths. And you can't blame him because they sound really nice. So I'd like to highlight here, I've been following him on SoundCloud for a good while, and I just recently found him on Twitter. I don't know how I didn't find him earlier, but I've been noticing that he's been posting about uploading a bunch of his, like, Thomas the Tank Engine recreations, which he has been doing, and he's doing it because he has this huge backlog, which I should probably explain why he has all these recreations, and that's because as of 2012, he started actually doing this because there wasn't any real soundtrack for the show. All there were just clips from it where there weren't spots where there was talking or anything, just the music. So he just started recreating them as close as he could, and then, as the years went on, he would get other plugins and like the Jupiter 8 VST and such, that so he could get even closer to the sound, and now he has all these done up. Probably, I don't know how many series or seasons he has, like, he's just uploading a bunch. But now he's going to try to move on to doing just purely original music, which I'm all for because his original music is really good. I mean, just recently he started doing some of these shop themes and shopping jingles, which may show up on the show later for, shop themes episodes, as well as just really nice synth jams. Like there's another one I wanted to feature that, kind of fit, not quite as well as this one, called Stargazing, which is really, really nice. So I would highly recommend you check out his music. You can find him on SoundCloud and YouTube, and he also has a Patreon. And while you're at it, give him a follow on Twitter. He's, pretty active there. All right, now moving on to our next track here. This is coming from a musician that I've been listening to for a good while, at least since like 2015, 2016, I'd want to say. This is Data Quarter by I Am Anolis. That was Data Quarter by I Am Anolis, all one word. And, I am in love with this man's music. It's just non-stop jams, just ever since I found him. Just nothing but good fucking electro-funk jammies. And yes, his music does follow under the genre of synthwave, but, this is very strongly electro-funk, or at least in my understanding of it. There was another track that I was kind of wrestling between this one and Downtown, which is very much more funkier than this one, and actually there's a video that he put up which he has like some old, I don't know if it's from a movie or actually filmed footage of guys just breakdancing, battling each other. And it's, it's pretty ridiculous. But I decided to go with Data Quarter because, it's not as bright as the other tracks I'm featuring, and I wanted to have it as a contrast. But also, because it's one of my favorites. Now, getting onto the I Am Anolis himself, I have a little descriptor here from 24 Hour Music when they were reviewing his album Date. So, I Am Anolis is a multi-instrumentalist from Greece who draws his influence from the 70s and 80s and its omnipresent synths, disco feel, and ritual futuristic fervor, which that cannot be denied. His sound is definitely influenced by late disco and 80s electro. But he's really capable of all kinds of different styles, definitely really synth-driven, a lot of funk, but he's also capable of more slowed down and kind of spacey jams like Space Womb from 2016. And then as we get into the 2020s and so, his stuff is getting more towards the era of late 80s, early 90s sound. To name the two, we got IAM from 2020 and Montage from 2022. But yeah, no, Data Quarter though, still my favorite. And I was ready for it because before this, I had discovered a album called Morgan Guys Presents Unclassics, which is all just weird, electro funk stuff that, I never heard anywhere on the radio at all. So, and it's just some really weird stuff too. So that fits in right with it. So yeah, definitely check his music out. You can find it on SoundCloud, on Bandcamp, as well as on YouTube. And actually, check out his latest songs, which were released just this year. First one being Gotta Get Over You, which is I saw described as new disco. And that definitely sounds fitting, and it has a bass line that I just can't get over. And then Her Sliding, which has more of a house vibe to it. Still electro, but more housey and dancey. Okay, so getting into our next track here, this is coming from Don Demers, who I just found this year, I think either the end of last year or around the beginning of this year. And the track is called Neptune from their album Journey Through My Mind, Volume 2. And that was Neptune by Don Demers from their album Journey Through My Mind Volume 2. And this here song, it was a surprise when I first discovered it on SoundCloud, as I discover everything else. And this one's kind of a surprise because, when it initially came on, I heard the woodwinds and the strings. It was like, kind of, okay. And then it hits you with that bass, the clavichord, and the Rhodes in there, and then it really gets into full swing with the horns and everything, and it's a great track. And if anything, I'd have to say this is more city pop, a brighter, energetic, fun in the sun city pop, as compared to S.A. Music's Midnight City, which is a more low-key, enjoying the evening time city pop. But yeah, this one comes in more with the funk with that nice slap bass in the brass section, and then that guitar just shredding its way through to seal the deal for that 80s vibe. Suffice to say, this song definitely got my attention. And that's how I discovered Don Demers, hailing from the Netherlands. He's been actively composing music since 2018, largely doing orchestral and trap music. Quite a combo there, huh? And it was shortly after this that he started getting into video game music, and that's where he really started to take off. And a large body of his work I've found so far has been arrangements of VGM, largely Sonic, a little bit of Mario, Pokemon, and Zelda. And actually, I found a couple tracks that he did for a Dragon Ball Z fan animation called Dragon Ball Deliverance, which was kind of surprising. But most recently, it has been announced that he's been working on music for Sonic CDX, which is a fan-made remaster of Sonic CD. And his contributions have been arrangements of the Japanese versions of the music. A couple that come to mind are Palm Tree Panic and Quartz Quadrant. But of course, this episode is about original music. A large amount of it contained in his 2 albums. So the first one he did in 2020, which was Journey Through My Mind, Volume 1, which is an interesting mix of genres, including trap, house, orchestral, and some of that 80s vibin'. Then in 2022, we have Journey Through My Mind, Volume 2, which this song is from, and another interesting mix of genres. And then going back to VGM, there's a couple songs in there that sound like they're done in the style of Sonic Mania, which, getting out of these albums, a lot of his original stuff are like just songs inspired by the style of Sonic music. And that's about all I got on Don Demers for you right now. One more note I'd like to add is that for this song, he had a hand from a couple folks, Screwstash and Cartridge DJ. Alright, so now where can you listen to Don's music? Well, SoundCloud, of course, Bandcamp, and YouTube. And then if you want to follow him on Twitter. Alright, so this next track here I'm really excited to share with you. And with it, the vibe is being shifted from the 80s into the 90s. So what I got here for you is Jolly Good Show, and it definitely lives up to that title. And this is by Harvey Rothman.
Jolly good show. good show. Lights, camera, action.
And that was Jolly Good Show by Harvey Rothman, and I am thoroughly addicted to this song. It just presses this button in my brain that just causes this strange feeling of nostalgia. Like, it brings up images, sounds, and I'm not embarrassed to say that it has brought me chills and even tears in my eyes. You know, there's not many songs that can do that to me, so this one here is special. Now let me see if I can explain exactly what this song invokes in my head as far as, like, you know, visuals go, like animation stuff. I'm thinking like Rocko's Modern Life, Duckman, Family Dog for some bizarre reason. A lot of shapes, like kind of like the triangles, circles, squiggle lines, squares and stuff, and that really kind of like subdued kind of neon pastel colors that were going on in that early 90s space. And then as far as how this song sounds, it's like, feels like something I might have heard in like a mall, a store, or like someplace in passing, but never on the radio, maybe on TV. Like it makes me think of like, you know, just like something that I would hear on TV. But yeah, let's see. I was born in 1987, probably wasn't really conscious of things until I was 3, that would be 1990, and then maybe another 2 more years until like, you know, 5 or 6 when I was really becoming fully aware of stuff. So there was like this space of time where I missed this music and these kind of aesthetics that I currently am finding myself really liking. So yeah, the song basically just creates this strange feeling of non-existent nostalgia that, you know, I could not have experienced at the time because I was a small child that couldn't really, you know, fathom what was going on in the world. But enough of my nonsense, let me tell you about the one who created this song, Harvey Rothman. And they're a pretty prolific musician. Their first album from 2013, at least on Bandcamp, and most recently has been releasing songs as singles or has been doing album releases of songs that he had made within, like, you know, the span of 2013 to 2018. And they're all of just varying styles, from acid to funk to house, jazz, just weird wonky EDM. And actually, here's the little description that they have of themselves on Bandcamp. Daft synth tunes, from varying jazz to bangin' ratios. And that's pretty apt for what I've listened to so far. But they're not only a musician, they're an animator and cartoonist. And even here, his style like invokes this strange feeling of nostalgia, like it's something I might have seen on the TV when I was like a small kid but barely remember. But yeah, as far as most recent things that he's animated, he's done a small scene for Popeye Barbecue for 2 Reanimate, and a scene for Zelda The Phases of Evil Reanimated, as well as Hoto Mario Reanimated. And these reanimated things are really fun to watch, but if you just want to see his scenes, he has them uploaded to YouTube. But one of the coolest ones being his contributions to Ollie and Scoops, which is a animated series that you can find on YouTube, and it's really good. And that's Harvey Rothman. So for his music, you can find it on Bandcamp, either under Harvey Rothman and Shufflehound, as well as on SoundCloud. And then for his animation and drawings, you can follow him on YouTube, on Twitter, where he's constantly sharing drawings he's doing, or on his website, harveyrothman.co.uk, where you'll find demo reels of his animation as well as concept art. So now getting into our last track of the episode, this is a style of music that I have fallen in love with in the last 10 years. We got New Jack Back by DJ Versatile. That was New Jack Back by DJ Versatile from their album Versatile Mix Volume 1. And yes, glorious New Jack swing. You could technically say that Jolly Good Show is kind of a light New Jack swing, but this right here is perfect New Jack swing. This is a music genre that I imagine I would have really liked listening to more as a kid. I remember hearing some stuff on the radio, mostly probably Prince and Michael Jackson stuff that had that sound, and I really was gravitated towards that compared to other stuff on the radio at the time. I have a very specific memory of like being in the bath and my mom had left the radio on in there, and the song came on that just really caught my attention. It was just like fun and wacky. You know, the lyrics, of course, were, it didn't really make much sense to me. It's just the sound of the music was just, I loved it. But unfortunately, when I really started kind of listening to the radio, I never really heard that sound again. I guess it had moved on by that time or what. But of course, growing up in the 90s, eventually playing Sonic 3, Hydro City, anyone? But it's really been within these last 10 or 15 years that I've really gotten into it, and mostly it's done by newer artists that I've really like on the SoundCloud, like Joshua Morse, DJ Versatile, of course, and so many others, and mostly instrumental New Jack Swing, because, that's how I roll, instrumental stuff. But now to talk about this track specifically, I first heard it on SoundCloud, of course, under a somewhat different version. So he originally made this song, New Jack Back, with a certain kind of lyrics in mind. And then he did, on the version on SoundCloud, he actually put SWV's You're the One over it, beat matching it and everything. I think the original version is somewhat more of a slower tempo R&B song, but hey, it works. And I would play a small snippet of it here, of that version, but I don't know if that would get me in trouble or not. Now, DJ Versatile, as his name would suggest, is quite versatile. Take, for example, this album, Versatile Mix Volume 1. Not only does he have the New Jack Swing in there, but some smooth R&B, some synth rock, house, pop, and something that sounds like it could be from a Capcom arcade game. In fact, he has an entire album of just that, where it's just stuff that sounds like it could be coming from the Capcom arcade, using Q sound. But the really cool stuff is his Doppelganger series, where he makes songs using sound chips of consoles. So, does one for NES, one for Sega Mega Drive or Genesis, and SNES. And they sound like they could be lost tracks from the games that he's kind of doppelganging. So yeah, his music is definitely worth a check out. You can find it on Bandcamp and YouTube. And that's all I got for you. So I hope you enjoyed this strange ride through new music that invokes the vibe of decades past. And I would highly encourage you to go check out everybody I featured today. Go listen to the music, buy some of their music. I'll be having their links all in the show notes. So as I mentioned at the beginning, we're 2 weeks away from episode 100. So today is technically the cutoff for getting your favorite track in, though I will be taking some stragglers in between, this week and next. So get them to me, and I'll try to fit it right in. And that is, again, your favorite track that has been played on the show so far. And you can get those to me by either email, bgemporium@gmail.com, on any of the social medias, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and in the Discord if you were interested in that, and you can find the link in the show notes for that place. And hey, if this is your first time in, welcome, and if you want to submit a track, you'll have to cram to listen to some episodes and figure it out, or you can submit something from this episode. But if you want to listen to it, you can find it on Spotify, Apple, Google Podcast, Amazon, and Audible, as well as on TerraPlayer, which is a website that is a hub for many video game related podcasts. And of course, there is always the main website, bgemporium.wordpress.com. Nothing fancy going on there, just a place to host my episodes. So now next week, what am I going to do for the episode just before the big one? Well, something simple. It's going to be related to a certain Discord server that I have been getting more involved with lately, and the music compos we've been doing. And I should mention that these are chiptunes compos, so what we're going to be doing is making music with Wavetable. And options on the board are PC Engine, MSX SEC, Virtual Boy, and even WonderSwan. Which one will win? It's, I don't know, but I'm going to be featuring music that are made with all of these, plus a couple more. And it's more to get myself in the mindset of working with them wavetable synthesis, and also to give inspiration to others. So yeah, it's going to be a fun time. So again, thank you for coming into VG Emporium, video game music and more, and hope you decide to stop by again next week.